you wanted to get into.
Yes. As some of you all know, not just voice actor, but he was also a lot of folks, depending on the genre that you might have met him. Some of you all might remember him as the concierge from John Wick. And others of you who are in the gaming community know him as Zavala. I had his name pronounced wrong. Zavala from Destiny 2. And the voice actor is Lance Riddick, or I say the actor is Lance Riddick. And he had this commanding presence. One of the things, I'll include his line that he did for one of the latest, before he passed, the expansions. I'll have to pull it up and script it, so pause. Yeah, pretty much. But as you heard in the clip, for those who are listening at home, he pretty much, it begins with the main antagonist saying Neo, and he gets into with his voice going, "Excuse me," and going on. It's like, if you want, I'm going to call, the folks back home that they've been kicking your asses for the past 9 years. They took your leader, kicked his ass so hard that he's writing fan fiction right now, and they stripped everything out of his ship. Pretty much hyping you up as the player, hyping the storyline and you up. And right now, Bungie announced legendary actor and voice actor, and legendary in his own right in multiple aspects, to replace Lance. And Lance set a high bar when it came to Destiny 2 and his character. And the person that they tapped on the shoulder to replace, now Bungie has stated everything up until this point, they're not pulling what they did in the past and change all the lines to this new voice actor. They want to keep all Lance's voice work up to that point. So if you play past missions, past everything else, they're keeping Lance's lines in there, so you'll still as remembrance. But the new person that they tapped to be this character is the legendary Keith David. And me personally, I have a lot of respect for Keith. He's been Goliath from the original animated series, Gargoyles. A lot of you folks out there might know him as the president from Rick and Morty. Horror fans know him from not just The Thing, but They Live. He's been in so much. He's very iconic. His IMDb, his IMDb is 300, a listing of 300 and growing. Heck, even on the Xbox side of things, he's known as the Arbiter from Halo. So he's iconic in his own right, and I'll include his.
He's still spawned in Mortal Kombat games with me.
Yeah, and he's come out on his Twitter and TikTok saying how honored he is. I'll include a little bit of applause here, and because what you guys heard at home is him saying what Lance brought to the table and what he plans. Meaning, to summarize for those here watching, he states that Lance set a very high bar for this character, and he hopes to kind of meet that high bar. And he's acknowledging Lance. He wants to make sure the fans accept him, and the fans are accepting him for that, because he is that credible. Why not? If you're replacing somebody so respected and legendary, who better to bring in somebody with almost the same voice quality, same bass quality, to replace that, and is able to act that level of, hey, what? Excuse me? In a way of saying, excuse me, motherfucker, you want me to bring in the guys that all I have to do is say, I need help? They're going to come in here and kick your ass. They'll do it just for the freaking lulz and memes. they're not going to, or if not, if they don't come, all to do is tell this person that they're going to turn you into a meme and they're going to come in after that just to see that meme. Oh, you don't want that to happen. No. Keith is that on that level, and we can't, a lot of the fans, even myself as someone who is not a big fan of Destiny, wants to see what Keith brings to the table. It's not, I'm not dissing Keith or disrespecting the aspect of Lance's memory in any way, shape, or form. I want to see how Bungie treats the character with Keith David in that role, and what level Keith brings to that level. Because as I told Sasha before, look what happened with Doug Brett. I know, granted, Doug is still alive, but he set a high bar when it came to Pinhead and the Hellraiser role. Granted, the lore surrounding Pinhead is expansive and different than what we see on screen, but Doug set a very high bar for that role and brought a lot to that role. And with the remake was where I was worried in regards to casting a woman to that role, and seeing that person in that role and seeing what she brought to the table. I say if she didn't hit that bar, she came very damn close and fit those shoes and fit that, did her own thing. I have much respect for her. She made it her own, and she succeeded in showing respect to what Doug did in that role. And
Clyde was hype about it, and even Doug was, because even Doug had made comments that Jamie had brought her own caliber to the character, just like he had told her to do, because she originally was going to consult him, and Doug was like, no, make it your own. Keep in mind that the character came from X origin. The character you're portraying is close to that origin versus what I did. I got selected for the role because I blew Clive away, but it wasn't exactly like the book. Even though he wrote the book and directed the film, he went different directions. But Jamie Clayton, when she went out, she did her own thing. She delivered Menace. She delivered all of it. And, and that's the thing. It's great to have two different interpretations of something, because you can look at it and go, well, how close to the source material is it? And you can go, you can't really do who did it better. That's all you really can compare it to. Does this really bring out the menace from the books? And I mean, I hate to say it, I love Doug, and I love what Doug brought to the role, but his Pinhead ain't got shit on Jamie's.
I'll say they brought she did a wonderful portrayal of it. I have respect for her, where both of them brought the equal amounts of, when you follow the aspects of the character in regards to some of the lore that the Cenobites have their own, even though the priest or priestess, depending on which versions that you follow, is the ultimate judge in regards to what happens. And
you kind of sort of the whole other thing,
but interpreting the lore, it's where Doug brought a lot of X, so did she, and it matches a lot, par for each. So, meaning, look at Hellraiser 2, where the psychologist pretty much brings somebody else in from the hospital to solve the laminate configuration. And once everything is solved, every Cenobite wants to attack this young woman. I guess it was supposed to be a teenager or something like that, but it's a young woman nonetheless. But it's Pinhead, the priest, and says, whoa.
The murder of her mother. And the mother was murdered by the doctor, believe it or not.
Yeah, but it was Pinhead, the priest, that said, whoa, hold on. Even though she opened it, it's not her. No, she's innocent.
By intent.
Yeah, it's not her. It's somebody else. that's here that we're looking for. And you see this throughout in regards to what Doug brought to the table. And that shows the level of writing and the actor bringing that to the table. You see it, I think it's in like 4 or 5 when I think I want to say Nancy, it's the original girl comes back, and she, her fiance or husband that in that story, in essence, gives her the box to solve because he wants the money that she's sitting on. And when she solves it, we see the priest again, and he's like, "Oh, my arch nemesis, you have escaped me so many times. I'm here to collect what's due." And she goes, "Wait a minute, hold on. Why do you want me, just one soul, when I could give you 5?" And that's when his eyes light up. It's like, that's why I like you, that's why you're my arch nemesis. 5 is more than 1. Let's talk. And that's how pretty much you find out how the story progresses. So seeing this priestess pretty much handle things the same way, in her own way, so to speak, is what made me have respect, even though this is a whole new telling of Hellraiser. So she brought up,
because they kind of mention other aspects from the other Hellraiser movies if you look closely at diaries and everything else.
But there's some similarities in what, and she lives, to me, like I said, I'll down that hill. She lives up to what Doug brought in the original series, and she lived up to it. She brought her own thing. I like what she did, and the whole aspect of her acting like
the embodiment of basically the hellbound heart.
Right.
That is how Cenobite should be.
Like there's aspects in the movie where you see the heroine in the movie pretty much like, can I do this? In a way, in the story, can I do this? And the priestess gives a nod like, I'll allow it, and you're like, oh shit, everything goes. This is a whole new take. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like the new redo. I like the it's one of the few remakes I enjoy.
Like some of the designs in that are just like the pregnant Cenobite. That was kind of interesting. Like it's just when they go back and watch and look through some of the other Cenobites, don't really get to see in detail. They got some interesting concepts going on there. But anyways, the biggest thing that happened, like at least